Hello everyone, this is Osama Naga. We'll discuss here pediatric hematology. At the end of this presentation, we'll learn how to read CBC or complete blood count and how to correlate each value clinically. For example, white blood cell count will be low in different types of neutropenia. Red blood cell count will be elevated in cases of thalassemia or normal and will be usually low in cases of iron deficiency anemia. Hemoglobin and hematocrit will be low in cases of thalassemia and iron deficiency anemia. Mean corpuscular volume will be low in case of iron deficiency anemia and very low in cases of thalassemia. Mean corpuscular hemoglobin concentration will be elevated in cases of spherocytosis. RDW or red blood cell distribution width will be elevated in iron deficiency anemia. Platelet count will be low in cases of immune thrombocytopenia or ITP, will be low also in cases of leukemia. Absolute neutrophil count will be low in different types of neutropenia, acute and chronic. Lymphocyte count can be elevated in cases of viral infection and also can be low in cases of immune deficiency. Eosinophil count usually elevated in case of eczema, allergies, eosinophilic esophagitis, and parasitic infestation or infections. For example, this adolescent is presenting with petechial rash in the legs and the buttock area, and also is having abdominal pain and joint swelling. And the CBC is normal. What is the most likely diagnosis? IgA vasculitis, or formerly known as Henoch-Schönlein purpura, and CBC typically normal. This is a 4-year-old boy presenting with ecchymosis in different sites in the body, plus recurrent epistaxis. CBC is normal except the platelet count is 7,000. What is the most likely diagnosis? This is a case of immune thrombocytopenia or ITP, and classically the platelets are large in peripheral smear. If the same case with the same presentation, but the white blood cell count is very low or very high, associated with anemia, and the platelet count is 20,000, what is the most likely diagnosis? The most likely diagnosis in this case is leukemia because is more than one cell line is affected. Now we'll start the detailed discussions. I will start with red blood cells and different types of anemia. Anemia is either because of decreased production of red blood cells or increased destruction of red blood cells. Causes of decreased production of red blood cells: deficiency of iron. This is the most common, iron deficiency anemia. Folic acid deficiency and B12 deficiency can cause decreased production of red blood cells and macrocytic anemia. Infiltration of bone marrow with abnormal cells, for example, leukemia and lymphoma. Bone marrow failure or toxins, for example, benzene or chemotherapy. Conditions associated with increased destruction of red blood cells: defective hemoglobin, alpha globin or beta globin, for example, alpha thalassemia or beta thalassemia. Membrane defect, for example, spherocytosis. Enzyme deficiency, for example, G6PD or glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase enzyme deficiency. Or autoimmune hemolytic anemia and destruction of red blood cells because of antibodies. A 5-year-old child had blood work for abdominal pain. His CBC showed red blood cells at 5.2 million, hemoglobin at 9 grams per deciliter, MCV at 60 femtoliter, and normal reticulocyte count and normal RDW. What is the most likely diagnosis? Iron deficiency anemia, anemia of chronic disease, thalassemia trait, or hemolytic anemia? The correct answer is thalassemia trait. This child is having incidental finding of anemia, microcytic anemia, with relatively high red blood cell count. If you use the Minzer index, which is MCV divided by red blood cells in million, 60 divided by 5.2 equal 11.5. Less than 13 is considered thalassemia trait. Another cause of microcytic anemia is thalassemia. Thalassemia is because of decreased production of either alpha or beta globin. As you know, globin is very important for hemoglobin production. If we have decreased the production of alpha globin, this will be alpha thalassemia. If it's beta globin, will be beta thalassemia. In order to understand the alpha and beta thalassemia, we have to understand the normal hemoglobin types. We have three types here: hemoglobin F, hemoglobin A, and hemoglobin A2. Hemoglobin F is formed of alpha 2 and gamma 2. Hemoglobin A, which is the adult hemoglobin, is formed of 2 alpha chains and 2 beta chains. Hemoglobin A2 is formed of 2 alpha chains and 2 delta chains. Very important during the production of hemoglobin to have the alpha to non-alpha pair 1-to-1 ratio. If you have deficiency of one and excess production of other, this will cause destruction to the hemoglobin. For example, in case of alpha thalassemia, you will have deficiency of alpha 2. In this case, you will have more produced gamma. So you will have gamma 2 plus gamma 2. So you have 4 chains of gamma, is well known as tetramer. This will make the hemoglobin F unstable and will be destroyed. And when you have gamma 4 plus alpha 2, this will give you hemoglobin part, and this will cause destruction and hemolysis of hemoglobin F. Same thing with beta thalassemia. You have deficiency of beta 2, then you will have accumulation of alpha 2. So you will have alpha 2 plus alpha 2 will give you alpha 4. And you will have abnormal ratio of alpha to non-alpha. And excess of normally produced type will cause cell destruction. Start with alpha thalassemia. Alpha thalassemia is because of decreased alpha 2 production. This will cause accumulation of gamma 2 and will cause destruction and reduce the hemoglobin F. Alpha thalassemia. You see here in alpha thalassemia, the alpha globin is part of different types of hemoglobin. And we have 4 genes for alpha globin carried on chromosome 16. If you have one gene deletion, this will be asymptomatic, no symptoms. If you have 2 gene deletion, either cis deletion on the same side or trans deletion on the opposite side, this will give you mild anemia with a slight increase of red blood cell count. This is the most common. This is well known as alpha thalassemia trait and usually treated by mistake or mistakenly with iron deficiency anemia with no improvement with iron because alpha thalassemia trait. And Minzer index will help you to differentiate this type from iron deficiency anemia. If you have 3 gene deletion, you will have excess of beta 2 and this will be well known as hemoglobin H and this will cause severe anemia. If you have 4 gene deletion, this is the most severe with accumulation of gamma and this will cause hemoglobin part and this will present even before birth with hydropsy fetalis. This is the most severe. It was easy to remember alpha thalassemia. We have first type silent trait because of deletion or dysfunction of one gene, only one gene. This is asymptomatic. If hemoglobin electrophoresis is done during neonatal period, it may show 1 to 2% of hemoglobin parts. Otherwise, in all different types of alpha thalassemia, hemoglobin electrophoresis is normal. Very important. Alpha thalassemia trait. This is the most common type you will see all the time because of deletion or dysfunction of 2 genes. This will present with mild hypochromic microcytic anemia. And it may show neonatal electrophoresis 3 to 10% of hemoglobin parts. Laboratory, the Minzer index will be less than 13 but more than 9, which is MCV divided by red blood cells in million. Like in this example, 64 divided by 5.3 equal 12. This is alpha thalassemia trait. Why not beta? Because the hemoglobin electrophoresis will be normal. And the hemoglobin usually more than 9 or more, not less. And often misdiagnosed as iron deficiency anemia. And this patient with alpha thalassemia trait will not respond to iron therapy, except if the patient have coexisting iron deficiency anemia. Hemoglobin H disease. This type of alpha thalassemia is symptomatic and more significant than alpha thalassemia trait, and it presents with mild to moderate hypochromic microcytic anemia, splenomegaly, jaundice, cholelithiasis, or gallstones. The anemia will be exaggerated by infection, pregnancy, exposure to oxidizing drugs. If hemoglobin electrophoresis was done during neonatal period, will show more than 25% hemoglobin parts, otherwise will be normal afterward. Thalassemia major, this is the most severe because of deletion of 4 genes and will cause fetal hydrops and is incompatible with life, is a fatal disease. And you will have in hemoglobin electrophoresis predominant hemoglobin parts. Hemoglobin electrophoresis is important for the diagnosis of beta thalassemia. It will look normal in alpha thalassemia. Normal hemoglobin electrophoresis, you will have normal level of hemoglobin A2 less than 3% and hemoglobin F between 1 and 2%, and the majority will be hemoglobin A. This is normal. And in beta thalassemia trait, you will have a slight increase in hemoglobin A2 between 3.5% to 6%, and a normal level of hemoglobin F, and a slight decrease in hemoglobin A. Adult hemoglobin will be slightly decreased. And in beta thalassemia major, you will have a slight increase in hemoglobin A2 between 3.5 to 6%. And this is what will make the diagnosis in both beta thalassemia trait and beta thalassemia major. But the difference in beta thalassemia major, you will have the majority of hemoglobin is hemoglobin F between 30 to up to 95% or even more. And no hemoglobin A or hemoglobin A is near zero. In this slide, we will learn how to distinguish between these syndromes. These two syndromes, the Pearson syndrome and Shwachman-Diamond syndrome, they share pancreatic dysfunction. In Pearson syndrome, sideroblastic anemia and pancreatic dysfunction. In Shwachman-Diamond syndrome, neutropenia and pancreatic dysfunction. In Pearson syndrome, skeletal abnormalities are rare. Is common in Shwachman-Diamond syndrome, associated with short stature, skeletal abnormalities, abnormal facial features, and increased risk of leukemia. Diamond black fan anemia easy to be mixed with Fanconi anemia, and diamond black fan anemia is pure red blood cell aplasia, affect only red blood cells, and usually macrocytic anemia, and a high adenosine deaminase activity and elevated alpha-fetoprotein, plus the abnormal facial features and abnormal thumb, triphalangeal thumb, snub nose, wide set eyes, and short stature. In Fanconi anemia, all blood cells will be affected, pancytopenia, but may start with macrocytic anemia. The presentation of diamond black fan anemia in the first year of life, very early. And in Fanconi anemia, the presentation usually during childhood. Also associated with café au lait spots or abnormal skin pigmentation, triphalangeal thumb, and short stature. Fanconi anemia associated with increased risk of leukemia and solid tumors. Peripheral smears. Hypochromic microcytic anemia. Look at the variability in the sizes of red blood cells. You have large and you have small. Look at the halo and the hypochromia. Why microcytic? Because the red blood cells in general here is smaller than the nucleus of lymphocytes. It looks large in this slide because of magnification, but this is a case of hypochromic microcytic anemia. This is a case of macrocytic anemia. The red blood cells here are larger than the nucleus of lymphocytes. Normally, the red blood cells should be equal to the nucleus of lymphocyte. In this case, the red blood cells are larger, and this is a case of macrocytic anemia, commonly associated with folic acid or B12 deficiency. This is a peripheral smear of sickle cells. This is the sickled cells, and here the target cells, and this is a large platelet. This is a case of spherocytosis. The case of spherocytosis, the red blood cells are hyperchromic with loss of central pallor. Hyperchromic with loss of central pallor. Schistocyte is a fragmented red blood cells. This can be seen in cases of microangiopathic hemolytic anemia or DIC. Bite cells in peripheral smear, as you see here, looks like a bitten red blood cells or punched out membrane. This resulted from removal of denatured hemoglobin in the spleen, like cases of G6PD. Howell-Jolly body. These are small, round, dark staining inclusions seen in the red blood cells. These are remnant of the nucleus, supposed to be removed by the spleen. Why is seen here? Because this is a case of sickle cell anemia with autosplenectomy, so you will see the whole jolly body. Also, this can be seen in any case after splenectomy. Again, peripheral smear is a high yield and frequently tested. Hypersegmented neutrophil, megaloblastic anemia. How will jolly bodies, functional splenia or after splenectomy? Heinz bodies and bite cells, G6PD. Schistocytes, microangiopathy, DIC, TTP or thrombotic thrombocytopenic purpura or hemolytic uremic syndrome. Spherocytes, spherocytosis, autoimmune hemolytic anemia, enzymopathy, and hemoglobinopathy. Target cells, thalassemia and liver disease.
Having trouble or trying to pass the pediatric board exam? We have the definitive solution for you, presenting the Last Minute Review Series, a powerful tool for achieving success in pediatric board exams, crafted by Dr. Osama Naga, a board-certified pediatrician by American Board of Pediatrics and the editor of the Pediatric Board Study Guide, a last-minute review. Dr. Naga breaks down the most critical subjects in this series. The Pediatric Last Minute Review webpage offers a thorough and rigorous set of pediatric board review sessions that are in line with the study guide. The lectures will cover the most important topics for each condition that a pediatrician must know for pediatric board exams, as well as real-life clinical encounters. The inclusion of a clinical case scenario, accompanied by multiple choice questions, followed by the most probable answer and a comprehensive description of the issue, will ensure test readiness for each student. You will be able to download the lecture's PDF files to make your studies easier, to take notes and be accessible on the go and offline. Based on the membership plan you choose, you will have unlimited access to the lectures for either 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year. By viewing these videos, you will increase your chances of passing the board exam and gain substantial advantages from the acquired knowledge. Additionally, by studying the material and completing the AAP prep questions from the previous 3 years, you will greatly increase your likelihood of passing the board and will acquire a wealth of knowledge. Click on the link provided below to visit lastminutepediatric.com and subscribe immediately. Be sure to take advantage of our free video samples on our YouTube channel, Pediatric Board Last Minute Review. Good luck with your exams!